I'm with you, there's no one else around. Yeah, I'm so high, gravity can't hold me down. Imagine faith and hope so alive. You got me feeling so good, 'cause baby, you're like the sun flying high on a blue sky, shining bright into the night. The stars sparkling down, yeah, diamonds and gold can't compare.
Welcome to Me, Myself, and Liberty. I'm Leslie Nesmith, and we have an exciting show for you today. Terry Neese, who is a candidate for CD5, is going to be joining us today, and we're going to talk about what in the heck happened with Steve Russell and how in the world did Kendra Horn get in. I also have another very special guest in the studio today. My son, Dylan Tefteller, is here. And he's going to tell us about Patreon.
If you go to www.patreon.com/OTUmedia, you can become a patron and you can donate as much as you'd like to help our cause.
Yes, as much as you would like, and then some. And how about YouTube? How else can they reach us?
You can subscribe to Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite and click the bell for notifications so you can stay up to date, and it would really support us.
Awesome. He will one day have his own show, I'm sure. All right. I will be back with Terry Neese.
Another one drives a truck.
Visit cdluniversity.org.
At CDL University, and another success, another one drives a truck. Hey, gonna help you too, another one drives.
Hey everybody, Todd Tucker here, and everyone who knows me knows I love to read a great book, and right now I'm reading this incredible novel by local author Richard Engel. All you have to do is go to LastAmericanPresident.com and say big right now on this book. The Last American President is a story about political intrigue, romance, betrayal set against the backdrop of the dissolution of the United States of America. It's great reading, and when you go to LastAmericanPresident.com, use the promo code OTU, you're going to save money. And not only that, but half the price comes back to OTU. So half the proceeds from this book come back so you can watch great programming like you see on the OTU Media Network every day. LastAmericanPresident.com. I highly recommend this book. Read it today.
And we are back. I am here with Terry Neese. I am so honored and happy that you joined us today.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Yes, and I'm ready to help our audience get to know who you are and all about you and see what support we can get for you. Okay, so you are a third generation Oklahoman.
I am.
And you were raised on a farm. I always find farm people interesting.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was raised on a farm. I grew up in Cookie Town, Oklahoma. Population was about 5 when I was there.
Wow.
There were two little gas stations there, and I actually grew up what you might say are the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up 2 miles west of Cookie Town, Oklahoma,
Oh,
and
wow.
the farming values that you obtain, and when you're working with your family, is something that is, I think, one of the most important things that can happen to anyone. I enjoy being on the farm. My grandfather homesteaded there. The farm then was transferred to my dad, and from my dad to myself, and so now I own the farm.
So you're a farmer.
I'm well, sort of at least, and I'm just proud to keep it in the family.
Yeah. Well, you definitely learn all kinds of work ethic on a farm. I know that. I've not actually worked on a farm, but I did live out in the middle of nowhere, and there were animals and things around. Okay, so you're also the founder of Terry Neese Personnel Services,
Yes.
which is different than personal services. The National Grassroots Network, the Institute for Economic Empowerment. I was looking at your list, your resume, and I'm going, how in the world can I possibly get all of this stuff in? So what I'm going to do is let you tell us about the most important things. We want to hear all about you and
Okay.
your background.
All right. I founded Terry Neese Personnel Services in 1975 with $600 and a prayer that I might make it through the first month, and built that into a multi-million-dollar company. My daughter runs the company now, and I'm so very proud of her because she has taken it to stages that I didn't think was even possible. And I think that's just a second generation. We're hoping we might have a third generation take over at some point. I served also as the national president of the National Association of Women Business Owners during my first 30 years in business, and traveled all across the nation, about 40 states where we had chapters. And hopefully we can kind of talk about
I have questions
a
for you
lot of
about
the
that, yeah.
knowledge that I gained in doing that traveling and talking to women business owners. And by the way, I'm going to talk about women a lot, but I love men. Just so
you're
not
anti
No,
you're not one of those
no.
anti women that
No.
all men must die, like a lot of the crazies out there.
Absolutely
these
love
days.
men. I had a wonderful husband for many, many years. I lost him 7 years ago. Because of being national president of the National Association of Women Business Owners, I kind of became the national voice for small business owners. Therefore, I had the opportunity to testify before Congress, the House Small Business Committee and the Senate Small Business Committee, mostly, and really talking about regulations and paperwork and tax reform and all of those things that come down on us and strangulate us in small business when we could be going to create more jobs.
Exactly.
For our communities. So I think part of that, plus starting Women Impacting Public Policy, plus National Grassroots Network, and then the Institute for Economic Empowerment of Women, who works with women entrepreneurs in Afghanistan and in Africa. And I think all of that has prepared me for where I am today and for running for the 5th Congressional District seat.
Yes. Well, all that is definitely very important. And right now, where we are as a nation and as a state, those are all very important experiences and background for this particular job at this particular point in time. So I think that's a very good thing. Okay, so this is no small undertaking. We know that this is going to be a battle, a real battle. Something happened in the state of Oklahoma that we thought never would happen, and it did, and that is Kendra Horn got elected. So tell me why you are running now. Why are you running now? And then we're going to talk a little bit about Kendra Horn.
We definitely need a conservative, 100% conservative Republican in this seat. We also need someone who can focus like a laser beam on winning this seat back for the Republicans. I am the type of person that can focus on it like a laser beam. I'm a workaholic. I've always been called a workaholic because I'm a 24/7 person. I have a lot of energy, and it's important that we have someone in this seat that understands what conservative really means. And taking on Kendra Horn is a socialist. She's a liberal, and I don't mind saying that. I believe that we need to be calling her out on her votes. To answer your question directly, now is the right time for me. It is my time. It is a particular time right now where I can dedicate myself 1,000% to running for this office. The 5th Congressional District seat is a large entity. It's Oklahoma County, Pottawatomie County, and Seminole County. And for your listeners and your viewers that don't know, it's 3 counties. And it's important we cover all of them. All 3 counties are important, and I will treat each one of them in the same amount of time, because I intend to spend a lot of time in all 3 counties.
That's good. That is very good to know. So, one of the things that I'm curious about is, what do you think happened with Steve Russell? How did this happen?
Well, honestly, Congressman Steve Russell was a terrific conservative Republican. And in looking at him, I'm inspired to run for this seat and win it again. Obviously, we had, unfortunately, we didn't have President Trump at the top of the ticket, and therefore a lot of Democrat voters came out to vote. They also came out to vote for marijuana. And this year, in 2020, we will have President Trump at the top of the ticket. And I believe we will smash any Democrat that's out there running, whether it's for a local House seat, a local Senate seat, or it's the 5th Congressional District seat. We will be able to support President Trump. I'll stand with him 100%, and we'll win this seat back and get it in Republican hands.
That is what we have to do. And you just answered one of the questions I was going to ask you about your support for President Trump. So you've said that. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with some more questions, and we'll get to the real meat of this. Okay?
All right, sounds good.
Introducing all new, safe, natural relief. A cannabinoid-rich, clarity and focus formula with 17 essential supplements. When it matters most, you've got a job to do. Anxiety isn't an option. Programmed to keep you moving. A product exclusively manufactured for Active Duty RX by Cantech Labs.
So I am a 3rd generation Oklahoman. I grew up at the end of a dirt road, 2 miles west of Cookietown in Cotton County. Cookietown population was about 5. And I spent many of my young years helping my dad plow, harvest wheat, gather the eggs, clean the chicken houses, and at 9 years old, plowing of the wheat fields. That's pretty young to be out on a plow, I have to say. But my folks had 3 girls, and they really needed a boy. Therefore, I was the 3rd one, so I'm the one who became the child out on the plows and doing all those wonderful little things that you do on the farm. Went to the University of Oklahoma, and by the way, I own that farm. My grandfather homesteaded there.
Yeah.
And I purchased it from my dad. The road is still dirty, and it's still dirt. But I own the farm, and I'm really blessed and very proud to own that property. It's over 100 years old, and I need to get it registered on the Centennial Farm. Went to the University of Oklahoma, started to work for a staffing firm, and that really became my passion. I loved finding jobs for people. Therefore, I wanted to start my own company. Farming is an entrepreneurial business, and it's probably one of the worst types of entrepreneurs that you can be, because you're dependent on the weather and you have no control. Therefore, the entrepreneurship was really strong to me, and the values that I hold dear today come strong from that family farm. In starting my business, I had literally $600 because I was broke. And I prayed that I would make it through the first month. Turned that business into a multi-million-dollar company and turned it over to my daughter, Kim Neese, who's here, and has done a remarkable job taking that business to the next level. I like to say that I was smart enough to know that I needed to walk away and not look over her shoulder and watch what she's doing. And she's really done incredible. While I was running Terry Neese Personnel Services, I became national president of the National Association of Women Business Owners. I joined NABO in 1986 and became a member. And in 1988, went on the national board. And in 1990, was president. I would never recommend someone do that because I clearly had no idea what I was doing because I really did not understand the whole process of the NABO organization. At any rate, I want to tell you just one story about the importance of NABO and how it will play out to be helpful, I believe, also in this race. How many of you know that in 1988, a woman could not borrow money nor obtain a credit card without the signature of a man? Maybe that. So in 1988, Jillian Rudd, who was a member of mine, a mentor of mine, held a press conference on the steps of the Capitol and demanded that the Small Business Administration start gathering data on women entrepreneurs because we knew in NABO that women business owners were expanding exponentially around the world and around the country. And there was no data. They thought, the SBA thought, that most women business owners were doing macrame or painting or just general embroidery. And I had been in the staffing industry by that time for about 10 years. And there were construction companies and there were many other types of businesses than macrame. So we also asked that the SBA set up women's business development centers to get more education for women and minorities in business, and set up the National Women's Business Council so that we could report to Congress and to the President what was really happening in the grassroots around the country. Fast forward, we got an author to author the legislation, H.R. 5050, Congressman John LaFalce out of New York. In 103 days, NABO members converged on the Capitol and Congress, and we passed that legislation in 103 days. On October 25th, 1988, President Ronald Reagan signed that legislation into law. So we no longer had to have a husband or a son or a brother to sign for us when we obtained loans or got a credit card. Now guys, I love men. I really, really do. I have a wonderful husband. But I have been focused for many years on women's entrepreneurship, minority entrepreneurship, but small business owners as well. I mean, that's what it's really all about.
Hello, I'm Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky. There's this eternal fight back and forth between conservatives and liberals on whether or not we should raise taxes to try to balance the budget or try to diminish spending. There's $100 billion spent in our budget that's unaccounted for. We don't even know where it was spent. We don't have the wherewithal to audit the Pentagon. We don't audit the Fed. We don't know where money's spent. It points out that it's really not a tax problem, it's a spending problem. By holding firm on the tax issue, we should be able to address the spending issue.
Grover Norquist, I serve as president of Americans for Tax Reform. The goal of Americans for Tax Reform is to stop tax increases at the national and state level, to work with taxpayer groups in all 50 states and in other countries, to build a network that works together to stop tax hikes, to reduce the tax burden, and to reduce the size and scope of government. One of our projects was to create the Taxpayer Protection Pledge, asking all candidates for office, federal and state, to commit in writing to the American people that they would oppose any and all efforts to raise taxes. That became part of a broad project for Americans for Tax Reform to limit the growth of government and then to begin to reform government to where it costs less.
To me, it's a contract with the voters. I think the pledge helps to restrain politicians. So for many years now, I think it's helped to limit tax rates and also limit the size of government.
The American people can do great and wonderful things if you get out of the way. While we want some government, we don't want unlimited government. Government should be limited so people can be free. That's what we do every day.
And we are back with Terry Neese, candidate for the 5th Congressional District. And since you brought up the T word, tax reform, we thought this would be a good opportunity for you to sign the Taxpayer Protection Pledge, which Rand Paul just spoke about. All right, so here we have it. We'll show it on camera here. All right, so this pledge, basically, you just saw it. It says that you will, 1, oppose any and all efforts to increase the marginal income tax rates for individuals and or businesses, and 2, oppose any net reduction or elimination of deductions and credits unless matched dollar for dollar by further reducing tax rates. Okay, so are you willing to sign this pledge?
I am, Leslie.
Okay. Well, we're going to have you sign it in blue so that it's nice and noticeable there.
Okay.
So you
All right.
just sign here. And we appreciate that. You could do the pull the President Trump and say, so who wants the Sharpie? No.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
I'm very proud to do this.
Okay.
No new taxes.
No new. Read my
Read
lips.
my lips. Only I'm
Who
going to
said
be
that?
100% behind that.
Only you're going to actually keep your word. Okay.
Yes, I am.
Okay. We'll hold you to that. Okay. All right. So let's talk a little further about, so Kendra Horn, how do you feel about her votes thus far?
Well, the very first vote that she took was to ensure that Nancy Pelosi is Speaker of the House, which gave all the committees and subcommittees to all the Democrats.
Yeah.
She is trying to act like a moderate when she's back in her district, the 5th district, but she's not. She is a liberal, she is a socialist, and she needs to be called out on it. She's also very supportive of the Green New Deal. And should that come to pass, then we're not going to have airplanes. We will no longer have cattle. And, you know, just a number of different things that in our energy industry will be completely obliterated. Yeah. So this is something that is not kin to what the voters believe in the 5th Congressional District. Therefore, it's important that we take this district back into Republican hands and make sure that we have a conservative in that seat that will vote conservatively, come home and talk about their conservative votes, and go back and continue to be a conservative when they're in Washington, D.C.
Yes, she definitely ran as a moderate. And, you know, some of us out here were saying, please see her for what she is. She is not a moderate. That is not what's going to happen. And sure enough, she's gone there and towed the line for the far left. And people here, even a lot of Democrats that I know that voted for her said, this is not what I voted for. In fact, many of my Democratic friends are very anti-abortion. And when, you know, she started with the support of abortion and the late-term abortion, for them that was right. Kind of the right. straw that broke the camel's back for them. So I'm hoping and I'm praying that this is going to be a resounding win for us, the conservatives. I can't see any other way, but we definitely have to have the right person in there. So tell me, one of the things that you will deal with, if elected, is the DC swamp. So how do you navigate that? Those waters infested with crocodiles, and how do you do that?
Well, first of all, I have spent quite a bit of time in DC. I've walked the halls of the House of Representatives and the Senate for many years as the voice for small business and being a small business advocate. So I've seen how Congress works, and I have seen how Congress doesn't work. I will be a very fast tracker when I hit the ground running once I'm elected Congresswoman. And here's why. I am very close to a number of people in the House of Representatives. In fact, Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rogers, who's from Spokane, Washington, is in the leadership. And Kathy and I have been friends for many, many years. I have been out to Spokane, Washington to help her win re-election. She is one of the most conservative women that we have in the House of Representatives. Therefore, the knowledge that we have together, the friendship that we have together, will allow me the opportunity to hit the ground running, making sure that Oklahoma has a seat at the table. I'm hopeful that I would be on the Small Business Committee. I'm hopeful that I would also be on the Energy and Commerce Committee and also Foreign Relations, because I have been so involved all around the globe in terms of small business. And Kathy and I have had a lot of discussions about this. Therefore, I'm very certain that I will be able to hit the ground running and bringing a lot of good quality information and dedication and conservative votes back to Oklahoma.
That's important. I think that sometimes people don't realize, I mean, you have the swamp that you're dealing with, but at the same time, there are good people in Washington. And the fact that you have those relationships and connections, you're able to bypass so much of the, red tape that a newbie coming in, would have to go through simply because they just don't know the ropes.
Right.
So, okay, so something I want to ask you about, since we've talked about women a couple of times, reiterating that we love men too.
That's right.
So I want to hear more about NAWBO. And I don't know if you remember this. We met several years ago. I was a guest speaker at NAWBO.
I remember that.
I was talking about self-defense and that kind of thing.
Right.
So that's actually where we met the first time. Tell us about NAWBO and how that experience qualifies you and prepares you for this.
I became a member of NAWBO in 1986. And fast track, we talked about fast track. So here's what I did on fast track. 1986, I became a member of the National Association of Women Business Owners. In 1988, I went on the national board as vice president of appointments. So I worked with President George W. Bush on appointing more women, and specifically NAWBO members, into his commissions and those kinds of positions in the administration. In 1989, I became national president-elect. And in 1990, I became national president. I wouldn't necessarily recommend anybody take a fast track like that because I literally did not understand the whole stratosphere of NAWBO. But I learned very, very quickly. I traveled to 40 states in the United States, talking with women business owners about their issues and what their concerns were. In 1988, women could not borrow money nor obtain a credit card without the signature of a man.
1988. When I saw that, I was like, surely this is a typo. Hold on. That's crazy.
1988, women could not borrow money without the signature of a man. It could be a son, it could be a brother, it could be a husband, but it had to be a man for a woman to obtain a loan or get a credit card.
Now, what if it was somebody identifying as a man? Just kidding.
You're right. So let me just say quickly that a number of us, there's a handful of us that worked on legislation. We called a press conference and we asked the Small Business Administration to do more digging on what women business owners were doing across the nation, because we knew that women business owners were growing exponentially. So we called this press conference and we asked for data. We asked for them to stop the banks from asking us for a man to sign a loan for us or to get a credit card. We asked for women's business centers, and we asked for a National Women's Business Council. Congressman John LaFalce, Democrat from New York, came forward and said, I'll help with the legislation. You help us write it. So we helped him write it. And
is this HR 5050?
HR 5050.
Okay.
That was a pretty cool number, huh?
Yeah.
HR 5050.
5050.
Within 103 days, we passed that legislation. That's how important this was to our national group we had women fly in from all across the United States. Candace Bergen testified on our behalf because she was a woman business owner.
Mm-hmm.
103 days, we passed the legislation. And so on October 25th, 1988, President Ronald Reagan signed that legislation in the Rose Garden.
Wow. And because of you, I have my own credit cards.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, so that is very interesting, and there are a lot of people out there that don't know that bit of history. One, that history, and then two, your part in that history.
I'm just very, very proud to have been a part of it. There's a group of people who put together a movie recently and showed the movie, the documentary basically. And I walked into theater to watch the movie, and Leslie, I sat there and I saw myself in the movie and saying things that happened 15 years later, and my jaw just dropped. I'm just very proud of the fact that we got that legislation passed in 103 days.
Yeah.
For every woman, we changed the U.S. landscape.
And that was a bipartisan.
It was, absolutely.
So that's very important. So that's something for our listeners to keep in mind and to share and to talk about and to research, because that is part of history, and you are a part of very important history there. Okay, let's see. What would you do to eliminate government waste and duplicate programs?
I really believe that each agency needs to be torn apart. We need to go in and look at every single dollar and where it is being spent, and does it need to be spent, and can we send it back?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are things that I believe you can do like a business. You can't run the government totally like a business.
Yeah.
But I do believe that there are a number of things that we need to do, and that is to go in and look at everyone's budget in every agency, and where can we cut? Because there's millions and billions of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
That could be cut from the budgets.
Oh, yes. We do not need $100,000 toilet seats anywhere.
No. And really, we need people who will step up and take this on, because we can balance a budget at the federal level.
Mm-hmm.
It's important that we balance it here in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
We have a balanced budget in Oklahoma. Why can't we have a balanced budget for the nation?
We can.
We can.
Okay, so we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
Introducing all new, safe, natural relief. A cannabinoid-rich, clarity and focus formula with 17 essential supplements. When it matters most, you've got a job to do. Anxiety isn't an option. Programmed to keep you moving. A product exclusively manufactured for Active Duty RX by Cantech Labs.
Greetings. Salutations. This is Moto with OTUmedia, here to tell you about the latest product on our shelves. If your boyfriend doesn't have a beard, then you have a girlfriend. Do you need a beard growth formula that's radio frequency programmed for maximum bioavailability? Then you need Bud Brothers Beard Co.'s Beard Growth Formula. Find it at the OTU Media store at www.oklahomataxpayersunite.com/OTU-store and continue to support OTU Media and Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite.
With Kendra Horn refusing to say whether she supports the repeal of the Hyde Amendment, I thought this would be a good opportunity to let the voters of Oklahoma's 5th District know that I will never vote to repeal this amendment, which bars taxpayer funding of abortion. These actions by Kendra Horn is exactly why we need to elect a strong conservative leader who will stand up to the radical voices in Washington and fight for our values. I will always stand up for the sanctity of life and the most innocent among us. I am very proud to be pro-life.
If you go with what Hillary is saying, in the 9th month, you can take the baby and rip the baby out of the womb of the mother just prior to the birth of the baby. Now, you can say that that's okay, and Hillary can say that that's okay, but it's not okay with me. Because based on what she's saying and based on where she's going and where she's been, you can take the baby and rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month on the final day. And that's not acceptable.
Well, that is not what happens in these cases. And using that kind of
All right, we are back talking to Terry Neese. And if you haven't already, please share this podcast right now. Take a minute, share it. This is very, very important. This is an important seat to us, and we need to get our candidates out in front of everyone possible. Okay, so abortion. You hear pro-life and abolitionist. I want you to talk about your stance, because one question that we get over and over, because my intent is to interview everyone who's running for this seat, and I want to get this nailed down. Our audience, some of their hot buttons: pro-life, Second Amendment, obviously the normal things. Are you going to support our president? But this is one. We really want someone in there who is truly pro-life. I am of the mindset I definitely would prefer the abolishment of abortion, but I also am a realist, and I say, I don't know what the future holds there. So that would be the ideal situation. Tell me where you stand on abortion, and then we can also talk about the Hyde Amendment.
Well, I am 100% unapologetically pro-life. I believe what the Democrats are doing in terms of having an abortion any time during the life of that baby, we need to make sure that we are supporting babies that are innocent, that are in the womb, and they have no voice. So we need someone that will be their voice and make sure that they have the ability to live their life. And many of these are people who are going to rise high into our leadership in this country. Who knows where God leads us? And so 100% unapologetically pro-life.
Well, that is very good to hear. So talk about, we just watched a video, the Hyde Amendment. Tell me about that, and just kind of your position on that.
Well, I definitely support the Hyde Amendment. And by the way, Congresswoman Kendra Horn did not say that she supported the Hyde Amendment. She ran around the question, which would lead us to believe that she does not support the Hyde Amendment. She didn't make it clear. It's time we start calling her out on her ability to run around the issue and not answer the issue. And so we'd like to know from her, does she support the Hyde Amendment?
And explain that to the audience, so they understand what the Hyde Amendment is.
Well, the Hyde Amendment obviously is a pro-life amendment, and Hyde was a leader in this effort. You either have to say, I support the Hyde Amendment.
Yeah. It's it's black and white.
It's black and white.
So this has to do with the funding, doesn't it? Is it
the
funding?
There's no point for taxpayers to be paying for abortion.
No.
And especially when it is not what their religion believes.
Mm-hmm.
There's no point in spending taxpayer money for abortion.
No.
I completely disagree with that.
I do too. And the left has just gone completely off the rails with this. No longer is it safe and rare or whatever they said. Abortion should be rare. And, the talking points, if you could just go back and look at any video of any, presidential candidate previously, they were all either against abortion or, oh, it's an atrocity. And even the ones who were for it would say things like, it's awful, it's terrible, but it's a necessary evil. They even called it a necessary evil, and now they've gotten away from that, and they're shouting their abortions and talking about how, like that one woman that said her best abortion ever was at this particular clinic. I mean, and I'm going, how are you proud of this? That is not something to be proud of. It's just not. So they've gone completely off the rails, and Kendra Horn is failing at calling that out.
That's right. The sanctity of life and being a voice for the unborn is very needed in this country.
Yes.
And I will be one of those voices.
Yes. Okay. All right. So we have one of the things that we do is I always ask our audience for questions, and it's almost always the same questions because, of course, us as conservatives, we have those things that are important to us. So what separates you from the other candidates? So right now we have a few: Van Zandt, Bice, Ballard, and I know, Green also. Yeah. So what separates you from the other people who are running?
I'm an outsider. I am a business owner. I have been in business in Oklahoma City under Terry Neese Personnel Services for 30 years. My daughter now she did a little tweaking on the name. It's Neese Personnel now, under her leadership. We have put over 37,000 people to work in good paying jobs within the 5th District over a period of time. And I am very, very proud of the fact that we have been able to do that. I run into people almost every day that we found jobs for over the years. I also know what it's like to deal with regulations and paperwork and writing paychecks and dealing with all of the things that come down from the local level and the federal level to strangulate small businesses. And we don't have a cadre of attorneys, and we don't have a cadre of CPAs to help with all of these new regulations that come down on us. And when this happens, it means that as the owner, I'm trying to get all of this done and completed and comply with what the federal government wants me to do or what the state government wants me to do, when I could be doing more business in my business and hiring more people to go to work.
Oh, yeah.
So that, I think, sets me widely apart. Another thing that sets me widely apart is the fact that I have been in D.C. a lot. I have testified before Congress quite often, and I understand how the economy works. President Trump has done a great job at keeping our economy roaring, and it's important that we all understand that I believe we need more business owners in Congress who know how to balance a budget. The federal government obviously doesn't know how to balance a budget.
No, that's not a requirement, I guess, to go to DC.
I would say that most everybody that's listening to this and watching this balances their budget every single month. I do. And therefore, I'm going to carry a lot of that knowledge to Congress.
Okay. So the next question, and I get this one a lot, is would you support funding the border wall?
I would. We must secure our borders. It's important, and building the wall is critical.
Our apprehension numbers are off the charts compared to recent years. As of April 30th, we apprehended 460,294 people on the southern border. In the last week, we had our highest single day, over 5,200 apprehensions, and our single largest group of 421 illegal aliens. As of Sunday, only 7 months into the year, we have now surpassed the total southwest border apprehensions of every fiscal year since 2009. The number of family units and unaccompanied children has skyrocketed to 64% of southern border apprehensions. So far this year, we've apprehended 248,197 family unit aliens and 44,779 UACs. These populations present significant challenges, not only because of the additional care they require, but because our immigration system treats them differently than single adults. For the first time in Border Patrol history, nearly half of the adults we apprehended in April brought children. They have received the message loud and clear: bring a child, you will be released.
Hi, I'm Leslie Nesmith, host of Me, Myself, and Liberty right here on OTUmedia. I'd like to ask you to go to www.patreon.com/OTUmedia to support us. By going to patreon.com, you are supporting everything that we do here at OTU Media and Oklahoma Taxpayers Unite. We are getting the word out, so join us.
What was the hardest car to fix this week?
The Mercedes was probably definitely most
Really?
difficult.
What do you think was so tough about it?
All Mercedes, the glue, you can't get it in between there, and the braces, you just can't cut through it. You gotta, most of the time, just find a different route.
What did Anthony think about the Mercedes?
No, Anthony hated Mercedes.
How long did it take you to pick up like the R&I portion of it?
I did a lot of like stereo equipment and stuff like that, so I took a lot of parts from cars, and my friend Sean, you know Sean, and he's really good. That's all he did was take about cars. Well, he's up in Colorado for his first job doing R&I, and I was welding for about 12 years. The guy was ripping me off, so I quit. And when I was driving home, he called me and he was like, "Hey, I got a job for you. We're going to start doing this." I was like, "All right." I did all that and went to school, paid the money to go to school, and came out and started pushing.
How much did it cost to do the PDR?
$6,800.
$6,800. And about how much do you say you've invested in your dent tools so far?
Probably a good 10 grand, easily.
So it's like any other mechanic or auto, like you gotta
have the right tools. No, you don't. Running pretty good, really good. Like awesome. The way you keep on it. I mean, cars coming in and out fast, really good. So.
All right. Well, we appreciate you, brother.
Oh, yeah,
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it. Yeah.
Oh my.
And we are back. Okay, so has this been fairly painless?
Of course
Okay,
it has.
okay, no, okay. That's the thing. I want candidates to want to come on to let the audience get to know them, but really get to know them. And I want you to have those questions, posed from the public. So I appreciate that.
You bet.
Okay, so let's talk about your campaign, grassroots. Anything else we need to get out to our listeners?
Well, thank you for that. We are, actually, this is the 5th congressional district race, but is a statewide race. A lot of people around the state are really tuned into this, and they want to take back the 5th.
Yes.
So it's make the 5th great again.
Yes. Yeah.
And so many people are calling us to come in and say, we can knock doors, we can walk precincts. So we're getting a lot of grassroots people. And for those of you who are out there, please contact us. We'd love to have you on our team. It's also a national race because it's a #1 race in the country. It's either this district or the 1st district of South Carolina, and they're both really right there together. So this is a major national race. Therefore, I'm calling a lot of small business owners across the United States that I've worked with for 30 years and getting them on our team and helping. And many of them have said, hey, I'll fly in and I'll spend a week walking precincts or doing whatever you want me to do. I think it's really important that everyone get involved in politics. I call it Gippo-goob.
That's interesting. Huh.
Gippo-goob.
Okay.
Get involved politically or go out of business.
Yes.
That's what Gippo-goob stands for.
I like that.
It's important if you are in business or if you're just, small business owner out there or a grassroots person. It's important to be involved in your government. Your government is only as good as you are. Because you need to know your local officials, your state officials, and your federal officials. Because what I've always said is when you need them, and at some point you do need them, that is not the time to get to know them.
Yeah.
You need to know them now. And grassroots is really the key to winning races.
Oh, yeah.
And therefore, we want to make sure that we have the largest grassroots, and we have, we're already putting our coalitions together. We have seniors for Neese, youth for Neese, small business leaders for Neese, veterans for Neese. Did I say that? No. We're putting together let's try this on you, grassroots ladies or grassroots gals for Neese.
All right.
Let's put that out there and let's see what kind of feedback we get from you on that.
Yes.
So it's important we get everyone involved across the 5th district to be in this race and working to win it back.
Well, and the grassroots is so important to the audience. Something I want to say, obviously I'm going to have each candidate on and let them plead their case and tell you why they're qualified for this position. But something our audience needs to know is we need you to get behind these candidates. We cannot assume. I think that we question how to, what happened with Steve Russell and all this. At the end of the day, we've got to get behind our candidate. We cannot assume that they're going to win because Oklahoma is a conservative state and everyone is so disappointed in Horn. We can't assume that. We have to get behind our candidates. And that means money too. So that's, I ran for state senate, and that was one of the difficult things was going, man, I got to ask people for money. You know what? I have no problem doing that now. You need to support the candidates. You need to donate to their campaign and get behind them and get out and knock doors and hold signs and whatever you've got to do. You've got to get behind our candidates and support them and get involved. Don't sit back and wait for somebody else to do it because so many times they don't.
Yeah, that's right. And one more thing. June 30th is a major deadline. It is the second quarter report, and June 30th, it's important that we show a strong fundraising campaign. We got in the race April 24th, so we didn't have a full quarter, so we really basically had May and June, but it's important. And, you know, whether it's $5 or $25 or $50, that doesn't matter. The point is that once you've done that, you're invested.
Yeah, and it's the power of the collective. It's lots of $5 put together. Okay, so anything else? Where can people find you? Website, Facebook?
Neese for Congress. We're on Facebook, and you can Google Neese for Congress, and we're there. We're also on Twitter, Neese for Congress, and we'd love to hear from you. We would love to take advice, information, questions. By all means, go look at our website and send us questions or comments. Love advice.
Yes, yes. Okay, well, I appreciate you coming in today, and it was so good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
And I wish you the best of luck, and I hope that our audience gets behind you or their favorite candidate, but we're taking back the 5th. It's happening. Hashtag take back the 5th. All right, you guys, we will see you next week on Me, Myself, and Liberty.
When I'm with you, there's no one else around. Yeah, I'm so high, gravity can't hold me down. Imagine faith and hope so alive. You got me feeling so good, 'cause baby, you're like the sun flying high on a blue sky, shining bright into the night. The stars sparkling down, yeah, diamonds and gold can't compare to your worth. It's somewhere far beyond heaven and earth. When I hold you, I'm high above the clouds. Yeah, I'm so free. I don't think I'm ever coming down. Imagine faith and hope so alive. You got me feeling so good, 'cause baby, you're like the sun flying high on a blue sky, shining bright into the night. The stars sparkle